And despite building pressure from world leaders, Libyan strongman Muammar Gaddafi is still refusing to step down. In an interview with ABC News earlier today, the leader laughed at the idea and insisted, quote, "My people love me. They would die for me." Well, President Obama stated on Saturday that Gaddafi, quote, "needs to do what is right for his country by leaving now." And today the White House had this to say.
When he can laugh in talking to American and international journalists while he is slaughtering his own people, it only underscores how unfit he is to lead and how disconnected he is from reality.
And earlier today, British Prime Minister David Cameron echoed America's call for Gaddafi to step down, and the EU joined in imposing sanctions on the embattled regime. So how much longer can Gaddafi hold on? And if he does give in, well, what will be next for Libya? Joining me now from Phoenix, he's the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Zuhdi Jasser, and the deputy editorial page editor, foreign affairs columnist for the Wall Street Journal, Bret Stephens, is with us. First of all, the idea that his people love him, they would die for him. And denies that there's any opposition arising in his country. Is he that delusional?
Well, the Sudanese and the militiamen from Sudan and Chad, whom he employs, do love him because he pays them well, and there are some bitter enders. That was true of Saddam Hussein as well. The rest of the country speaks for itself, and it's total opposition.
Right, does he survive this? Is there, look, he's paying people to fight for him. He's paying mercenaries. He's paying people to get off the streets. He has the money to do it.
Sean, probably not. But remember, in 1991, after Operation Desert Storm, rebels in Iraq controlled 14 out of 18 provinces. We thought Saddam Hussein was finished. But because we allowed his planes and his helicopter gunships to fly, he was able to put down that insurrection.
So no fly.
That should be in our minds right now.
Well, but look, the problem is Obama doesn't have the courage to take that stand. As a matter of fact, he was the last to speak out. Even the Washington Post acknowledged that. He has been almost reluctant to even mention Gaddafi's name. And to impose what you're saying, a no-fly zone, for example, he doesn't have the courage.
This has been the day late and dollar short presidency. Right. And Libyans are going to remember this, by the way.
Sure.
Eventually, once they get rid of Gaddafi, they'll remember who came to their aid and who stood by the sidelines. And the Obama administration, time and again, is standing by the sidelines on the side of dictators, in this case, a vicious anti-American dictator.
Mr. Jasser, your reaction?
Yes, I mean, I'll tell you, families like mine came to America because it stood for an idea. We need a president and a State Department that's going to stand not only against the actions of this demonic dictator, Gaddafi, but basically for the freedom and liberty of Libyans. They need to start getting on the ground and saying that we are going to be for an idea and make it clear what we stand for. And we didn't really do it in Egypt that well, and we're not doing it. And Libya is very different in that there's a consolidation of the military, and there's probably going to be an armed rebellion. There's people being slaughtered. I mean, if anywhere we can see we need a president and a State Department that's making it clear what we stand for, this is it.
I think Brett is right here, that this administration has always been a day late and a dollar short. Would it be unfair in my mind, remember that Louis Farrakhan, who says this is all coming to America, that he and Jeremiah Wright went to visit Gaddafi back in 1984. Now, we know that this became President Obama's pastor. Is it wrong for me to think, and he's had wonderful things to say about him for years until it became convenient to throw him under the bus, is it wrong for me to think that this may be impacting the president's thought process?
Well, I mean, those links, we have to see what the president does now and what he articulates. He's certainly not been clear about being against political Islam and the threat of theocracy. The Brotherhood actually stated they didn't want us in Libya, and it's interesting. I think that exposes their hypocrisy in that they don't want our influence there because they know, even though they're letting Libyans die, they know that we can help save the lives of Libyans being slaughtered by the Libyan government. But at the end of the day, the Islamists don't want us in there, and I hope our president can rise above the sense of putting his finger up and be a leader.
You know, until just this January, I have here in my hands the UN Human Rights Council's report on human rights in Libya. And here they've got various grades, and they basically get like a B+ grade. The United States of America supported the Libyan Republic's increased engagement with the international community, and then it went on to express its concerns.
This is the same rights commission that had, you know, Saddam Hussein on it over the years. Iran was in it. Libya, isn't that?
You know, a lot of Western countries, Britain especially, was complicit in the rehabilitation of Gaddafi, and now they should be ashamed and embarrassed about what they did. We still can make up for it by recognizing the provisional government, jamming electronic broadcasts from Gaddafi so he can't communicate with his troops, enforcing a no-fly, no-sail zone.
But you know this isn't going to happen. This is the same president that can't even take, Somalian pirate ships after they kill 4 Christian missionaries and blow them out of the water.
Yeah, and when it's all over, and if it should end up more or less well, Obama's going to say, well, we think we got that right, just about right.
We'll give you the last word.
Yeah, and as Brett said, they're going to remember, Sean, who helped them and who didn't and how long it took us. Today, Bosnians know and they love America because we saved them from genocide. And I think similarly, if we can help Libyans, it will reshape the Middle East to a freedom agenda that the Bush administration talked about. If we don't, it may lead us towards a very insecure Middle East.
I got to tell you, between Africa and the Middle East, it's not good. Let not your heart be troubled. When we come back, even Beckel and Lou Holtz and Rebecca St. James, our great, great, great American panel, is next. And tonight on our great, great American panel, he's a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State. He's starting already. Fox News contributor, USA Today columnist. Beckel is back. He's one of the most successful college football coaches of all time. Notre Dame coach Lou Holtz is with us. She, an actress, author, Grammy Award-winning artist, Rebecca St. James, also with us. All right, so we got the mayhem in Madison, and pink slips are about to go out because the Democrats are hiding out at a resort because they're too gutless and cowardly to come back. Now, Richard Trumka, the AFL-CIO president, forgets that the first AFL-CIO president was against collective bargaining, but he was asked about all the rhetoric against Scott Walker, the governor, on Meet the Press. Here's what he said.
You're one of the leading labor voices in the country. Do you condemn the hyperbole, the overstatements, comparisons to Hitler and dictators? You think that's wrong on the part of pro-union supporters?
We ought to be pro-anti-union. It doesn't matter.
It's inappropriate.
We should be sitting down trying to create jobs. And look, if you think that the argument that you're doing in Wisconsin is winning, as you said, Kim, the polls show that every Wisconsin, a vast majority of the people think this governor has overreached.
Okay. Polls don't show that. Pink slips are about to go out, and he won't condemn, comparing the governor to Hitler.
Well, I'll condemn that, but I'll also condemn this governor. He's a union buster. He asked the unions to give something. They gave what they wanted to. This guy should not be governor. He is, but he's a union buster. He's trying to do away with the fundamental right of union people to come together and collectively bargain. He's a punk.
Hey, I want to tell you, I heard President Obama said, don't demean the union. Well, how about let's tone down the rhetoric? First of all, let's understand this, Bob. You cannot negotiate with people to determine who's in power. Either no contributions to a political party or no negotiation, one of the two. It's like me saying, I'm going to determine who the athletic director is, and then I don't care whether I don't win a game, don't work, don't have to do anything. You can't fire me because they're putting other people in control. It's stupid and it's ridiculous.
I didn't know you paid the Jets ownership for the.
I went there. Go ahead.
You guys go way back, huh?
We go way back.
I think I love America. I grew up in Australia. I feel like I'm kind of objective. This country is amazing. I love living here. One of the reasons I love living here is because of the Judeo-Christian values. And one of the biblical things I think is very important is to honor and respect those in authority above us. And it was blatant disrespect that was being shown, and he was condoning that.
Well, he just called the governor a punk. You want to take that back?
No, I don't want to take it back. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because it is a word that we use. The anti-union people. This guy is out to bust the union. Lou says you give money. Let's remember, in Wisconsin, just a second. Most of the public employees' contracts were approved under Republican government.
Bob, here's what you're missing: is the state is going bankrupt. You have an unholy relationship. Unions take union member money. They give it to Democrats. Democrats sign off on sweetheart deals. They kick the can down the road, and this governor's trying to balance the budget.
And that's all I'm saying is, okay, either no contributions or no negotiations. You cannot continue to do this. That's why we have
And by the way,
You could say
FDR
the
was
same
against
thing. You could say
collective
the same.
bargaining
You could
for
say
unions.
What is wrong? Collective bargaining is about as basic an American right as anything
wait a minute,
else.
AFL, the first president, AFL-CIO president was against it. FDR was against it. Are they?
Public
Meany
employees.
was against it, and FDR
Public
said,
employees, that's right.
That's right.
you can't negotiate with people that you have control over their future.
Well, then how can you then justify big defense contractors giving all this money to Congress and then getting contracts?
Well, you're getting off focus here. What about the taxpayers that pay the bill?
But what about collective bargaining? I mean, to me, it just means that you're going round and round and round and round because the union doesn't want to settle on anything.
Wait a second. The collective bargaining concept is that we have a right as Americans under a law that was called the Wagner Act to come together and collectively bargain for our labor. And that is a fundamental right. Nobody, particularly this governor, ought to take it away.
No, but not when you're talking about public service and you give money to determine who you're going to be in power, so who you have a chance to negotiate with. That's
But which
stupid.
is the greater of two evils here? I mean, a country that's going bankrupt or protecting collective...
Our country is not going bankrupt.
The country is going bankrupt.
It is not
the
going
states
bankrupt.
are going bankrupt. Bob,
you guys in the Republicans convinced everybody this debt matters. This debt does not matter. If we could grow,
$14 trillion doesn't matter.
we
I think we could
going
spend
bankrupt intellectually.
Bob,
well, we may be going. Well, that could be my problem, to be sure.
So you really believe we're too big to fail?
I believe that if we were to spend another $1 trillion in stimulus to put people to work, it will create. It will get rid of a deficit.
Bob, wait a minute.
But in the end,
CBO just came out last week. We spent $250,000 per job with the stimulus money. CBO said that last week.
Wait a second. In the end, let's face it. Obama has not showed courage here. The Republicans have not. In the end, the only way to deal with this, as we all know, is entitlement: Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. The rest of it is
with the Republicans, we just talked to Paul Ryan. He's dealing with that in their budget.
Well, we'll see.
We're going to get rid of all the fraud by stop giving anything away.
Right, we got to take a
Anytime
quick
you give
break.
away, there's fraud.
Now, Bob works with alcoholics and drug addicts, and Charlie
And
Sheen
does a great job.
And has absolutely had a meltdown
that.
publicly, and the media is milking him for all he's worth.
He needs you, Bob.
He probably does, and he doesn't believe in AA. So we'll get to that when we get back. More with our great American panel next. And we continue now with our great American panel. All right, so Charlie Sheen's been in the news a lot. Apparently hookers are a big part of his life, and drug use is a big part of his life. And he gave 2 interviews to NBC and Good Morning America. And by the way, Bob, he doesn't believe in AA, but here's part of what he said.
What's next for you? How do you convince a producer of a movie, of a TV show in this town to take you back on their set after basically being let go from the sitcom on CBS?
Well, I mean, first of all, come Wednesday morning, they're going to rename it Charlie Brothers and not Warner Brothers. Duh. Winning. And it's not convincing anybody.
Do you owe CBS an apology?
No. They owe me a big one, publicly, while licking my feet.
All these radio rants have people thinking Charlie Sheen has got to be on drugs again.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I am on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen. It's not available because if you try it once, you will die. Your face will melt off and your children will weep over your exploded body.
I watched these interviews. Bob, this is what you do 24/7. I've seen you do this. I look at this guy. What?
Well, I was going to say, you know, as with any alcoholic and drug addict, I feel for Sheen, but let me just say this to him. His attacks on AA, first of all, he's high right now. I can tell you that from experience.
You could tell in that
Absolutely.
interview.
But leaving that aside, that's sad. But the idea that he takes on AA, where 2 million people are going today for meetings, some of them hanging on by their fingernails, trying to stay sober, and he says it doesn't work when he is himself now using, and there's people out there looking for an excuse to go out and drink and drug.
Tested.
Well,
he fixed
fine,
himself,
fine.
he said.
There's 1,000 ways to get drug tested and come up a negative. But let me tell you something. Charlie Sheen, if some kid goes out tonight because he believes in you and believes that you don't believe in AA, then a curse on you, my boy, because a lot of people are going to hurt.
He said that he wanted to debate somebody on AA.
Anytime, any place, anywhere, come on the show. You give us the time, we'll take it on.
And I want to compliment Bob on the great work he does, but on Charlie Sheen, the guy that brags about doing cocaine and everything, I just think the lesson we all learn from it, what an unhappy person he is. You know, all the money he makes, $1.8 million per episode, all the fanfare that He's so unhappy, and consequently, you can only find happiness within yourself when you're content, when you're working and doing something constructive.
Well, he said he's embracing, Rebecca. I'm a rock star. I'm embracing, you know, how great I am, and hookers and all this stuff. He's, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel very scared for him, actually. I think he's in a really, really dangerous place. And I think anybody who's watching right now that believes in prayer needs to be praying. So Christians gather and pray for this guy.
They need to pray for him, and we will all pray for him, but we need to pray for all the people who listen to these rants and may buy into it, and that's the thing that worries me.
And are affected by it, because he's a role model.
Yeah.
He's on TV, people are watching him. He's a role
After
model.
listening, one thing that's really obvious. He must read a teleprompter when he does his episodes at 4 a.m.
All right. So I tried to watch the Oscars last night. I can't stand it. I can't. And so-and-so's wearing such and such a dress. It's just it's so narcissistic. It just drives me absolutely nuts. Anyway, there was politics that came up this year. The winner of the best cinematography makes a point of thanking the union crew and then goes off further against Scott Walker backstage. Roll tape.
Much thanks to Emma Nolan, to Warner Brothers, to my fantastic union crew, and to my family.
I think that what's going on in Wisconsin is kind of madness right now, and I've been a union member for 30 years, and what the union has given to me is security for my family. They've given me health care in a country that otherwise does not provide health care, and I think the unions are a very important part of the middle class of America. So I stand strong behind any of the union members in this country and in any other country, because all we're trying to do is get a decent wage and have medical care.
Can I quickly explain that when I called the governor a punk, that is a euphemism we use for P on unions, so I didn't mean it punk in the punk sense. So I will walk that back. Having said that, he made it very, very clear. Everybody has a safer workplace today. Children don't have to work in a dangerous situation. You get weekends off. You get paid vacations. You can thank people who went on the union movement for that.
You rambled on long enough. I agree with you, but you still cannot negotiate and contribute to an individual and political. I think that's totally unfair, and that's the problem.
We're on the same page.
6,000 jobs are at stake. 160 million is at stake.
They don't seem to care about that.
They don't seem to care about it at all. But this is a lot of people that are being affected. And if some people sacrifice for the good of many, which is something I'm learning about in premarital counseling, this is a good thing.
And we also, on the union, thank for the loss of the steel mills and some other things because of the lower standards. We'll negotiate that.
We're out of time, Bob.
I don't know if everybody knows.
Thank you for being with us.
Bob. We'd love to.